This nightly mystery has a name. It's your brain's REM sleep autonomic switch, flipping control from your alert nervous system to your calming one, several times a night as you cycle through sleep stages. The moment norepinephrine drops during REM, your alert system loosens its grip, and the parasympathetic system takes over the vessels. Smooth muscle in erectile tissue relaxes, blood flows in freely, no thought required. This happens 3 to 5 times a night, on autopilot. So if it's flipping all night long, quietly, why is it only the version you wake up in that you ever actually notice? Let's pause and count what we already know. REM sleep cuts norepinephrine, that drop hands control to the parasympathetic system, and that relaxation lets blood rush into erectile tissue, automatically, 3 to 5 times a night. That's the full mechanical chain. What's still missing is timing. Why does this survive all the way to the exact moment your eyes open, instead of just being something that happened hours earlier, and quietly reversed like every other cycle before it? Here's the fast part of the answer. Norepinephrine doesn't fade slowly during REM, like a dimmer switch easing down. It drops sharply, almost like someone cutting the power at the breaker. One moment your alert system is holding the vessels in their usual tightened state, the next moment that grip is gone. This matters because if you happen to wake up right as REM sleep ends, the drop is fast enough that the physical response is still fully active in that instant. There was no gradual fade for your waking brain to catch. You simply opened your eyes in the middle of the effect. That's why it can feel so abrupt and unrelated to anything you were thinking, because it is unrelated. It's a light switch, not a sunrise. But a fast trigger alone wouldn't explain why this lasts long enough to matter. A switch flipping for half a second wouldn't be noticeable at all. This is where the parasympathetic system's role becomes the slower, sustaining half of the story. Once it takes over vascular control, it doesn't let go instantly. It holds that control for the length of the REM period, sometimes 20 minutes or more, keeping the smooth muscle in erectile tissue relaxed the entire time, allowing blood to keep flowing rather than rushing in and immediately draining back out. Think of it like someone holding a door open, not just kicking it open and walking away. The fast norepinephrine drop starts the process. The sustained parasympathetic hold is what gives it enough duration to actually still be happening when your alarm goes off, or your eyes blink open on their own. Now here's where most people's assumptions get quietly dismantled. If something is happening in your body while you sleep, it feels natural to assume it must be connected to what you were dreaming, or some flicker of attraction your unconscious mind stirred up. It is not. Testosterone's role here isn't to generate desire during sleep. Its job is much more mundane and much more mechanical. It keeps the reflex pathway primed in the background, the way a pilot light stays lit on a furnace even when the heat isn't running. It doesn't decide when the furnace fires. It just makes sure the system is ready to respond the instant conditions call for it. When the REM switch flips and the parasympathetic system takes the wheel, the pathway testosterone has kept primed simply responds. No dream content required, no emotional trigger required. The plumbing reacts the same way whether you were dreaming about flying, about your inbox, or about nothing at all. This is the main contrast worth sitting with for a second, because it quietly answers a question a lot of people carry without ever saying out loud. It is not about what your mind was doing. It's about what your nervous system was doing to your blood vessels while your mind was somewhere else entirely. So if this is this automatic, this mechanical, this disconnected from thought, why would doctors care about it at all? Here's the part that gives this whole nightly event some actual weight, because this reflex depends entirely on healthy nerves and healthy blood vessels successfully coordinating with each other. Its consistency becomes a kind of quiet, ongoing status report. Doctors actually use the regular presence of morning erections as a simple, no-cost signal that this nerve and vascular communication is working the way it's supposed to. Not as a definitive test, not as a diagnosis, just as one small piece of evidence that the signaling pathway between brain, nerves, and vessels is intact. It's a strange thing to realize that something you never consciously initiated might actually be one of the more reliable background signals your body produces every single night, which raises an obvious personal question. If this is happening 3 to 5 times a night, every night, why don't you notice it every single morning without exception? The answer comes down entirely to timing, specifically where you land in relation to that REM cycle when you happen to wake up. If you wake up in the middle of a REM period, while the parasympathetic system still has its hold on the vessels, the effect is fully present. But if you wake up shortly after that particular REM cycle has already ended, the hold has already started releasing, blood flow is already returning to its normal daytime pattern, and there's nothing left to notice. Same body, same night, same mechanism, just a different few minutes of timing. And this naturally raises the next concern. Does an occasional missing morning actually mean something? Not necessarily. A single off morning is often just noise, poor sleep the night before, alcohol still working its way through your system, or simply waking up seconds after that particular REM window closed. The entire system runs on sleep stage cycling, and sleep stage cycling is easily nudged by ordinary daily life. It's only a real, sustained change, stretched across weeks or months, that would actually reflect something meaningful happening in that underlying nerve and vessel signaling, not a single missed morning here or there. So we've followed the switch flipping on. Now let's watch it flip back off, because that reversal actually tells you just as much as the original mechanism did. Full waking isn't just you becoming aware of what's happening. It's your alert nervous system reasserting itself, norepinephrine coming back online, regaining its grip on those same vessels the parasympathetic system had just spent the last chunk of REM sleep holding open. That grip returns within minutes. Smooth muscle tightens back up, blood flow redirects to wherever your day actually needs it, and the whole thing quietly resolves itself without you lifting a finger. You don't have to think it away, will it away, or do anything at all. It's not lingering because something is wrong. It's leaving because the switch that turned it on is the same switch that turns it off, just running in reverse. Though given that this whole process starts and stops on its own, completely outside your control, what exactly are you supposed to do with this information? Here's the simplest way to use it. Stop treating any single morning as data. One morning, present or absent, tells you almost nothing. The same way one red light on your commute doesn't tell you anything about your car. What actually matters is the pattern over time. If this is a regular occurrence for you, weeks and months blending together in a familiar, unremarkable way, that consistency itself is quietly doing something useful. It's one small free signal that your sleep cycles are moving through REM the way they're supposed to, and that the nerve and blood vessel signaling behind this reflex is still communicating properly. No tracking spreadsheet required, no obsessive monitoring. Just a loose background awareness of whether the familiar pattern is still generally familiar. Now, what if it isn't? What if you notice a real shift, not one groggy Tuesday, but a stretch of weeks where the usual pattern feels different? That's not a moment to panic or start diagnosing yourself off a video. It's simply a gentle nudge to look at the most ordinary levers connected to this system, the ones that directly affect how much REM sleep you're actually getting. Inconsistent bedtimes fragment your sleep cycles, which means fewer clean passes through REM. Alcohol in the evening does something similar, suppressing REM sleep in the first part of the night, even if it makes you fall asleep faster. Neither of these is a medical mystery. They're just the same sleep architecture we've been talking about this whole time, getting nudged off its usual rhythm by everyday habits. A real sustained change is information about your sleep, not a verdict about anything more serious. And it's worth sitting with what this whole mechanism actually represents, because the framing matters. This isn't your body malfunctioning, oversharing, or doing something embarrassing while you're unconscious. It's the opposite. It's a nervous system and a vascular system, still successfully talking to each other, running a coordination check you never had to schedule, request, or pay for. Every time that norepinephrine drop hands control to the parasympathetic system and vessels respond the way they're supposed to, that's a small, ordinary proof of functioning communication happening in the background of your sleep. Over the coming week, without turning this into a project, you'll probably just notice the same familiar rhythm continuing. Some mornings more obvious, some barely there, depending entirely on whether you happen to wake mid-cycle or just after one ended. That variation isn't a red flag. It's just timing, the same timing we walked through earlier, playing out in real time in your own bed. So the next time it happens, remember it's not random, and it's not personal. It's your brain quietly proving that your sleep cycles and your blood vessels are still talking to each other exactly the way they should, night after night, whether you're paying attention or not.